Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Business of Fun podcast. It's me, your host, Dave Wakeman. At the top of the show today, I want to recognize the troubles in the world, and my thoughts are with folks that I know in Ukraine. The organization that the Business of Fun, Talking Tickets, all the people that I know, I've been pointing people towards is rescue.org. They are doing some stuff to help the refugees who have been displaced by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I know a couple people from Ukraine. They're fabulous people, wonderful people. They've shown tremendous courage and strength throughout this entire ordeal that hopefully none of us ever have to deal with. But if you are looking for a way to support the people of the Ukraine, check out rescue.org. It seems almost silly, the introduction I'm about to do after this, because war is a whole lot more important than selling tickets and all of these things. But my friend Simon Severino is back on the Business of Fun podcast today. He has a book coming out called Strategy Sprints. We actually didn't even talk about it. We did talk about strategy. We did talk about investing. We did talk about entrepreneurship. We did talk about marketing. We did talk about the ninjas, his kids. So it's a fun conversation. I am going to be in England from March 12th to March 20th. I was hoping that the Spurs were going to play well so I could see them in the FA Cup quarterfinals. They screwed me. Lost to Middlesbrough, 1-0. But I'm going to be around in London from the 13th, 14th, 15th, and during the day on the 16th. I'll be in Birmingham for the Ticketing Professionals Conference, which is really great, probably my favorite conference to go to, minus the other Ticketing Professionals Conference in Sydney, Australia. England or Australia, I can't lose. But Andrew and the team at Ticketing Professionals Conference have put together a tremendous program. They have two really incredible keynote speakers. There's going to be just tons and tons of panels, content, talks, discussions, all kinds of stuff. It's great. About 450, 500 guests. The trade show sold out. I'll be hanging out with the folks from Booking Protect because I can't go to England without seeing Simon and Cath. So I'll be there. I'm going to see if I can record some podcast conversations from there. So that'll make it a little more fun. But if you are thinking about it, you're in the area, you can get to Birmingham, ticketingprofessionals.co.uk. It's a fantastic event. It's just one of the most valuable conferences that I've found in the world of ticketing. So check it out. Also get the Talking Tickets newsletter. That's talkingtickets.substack.com. That's my ticket newsletter. It goes out every Friday. It tells you what I'm up to, new workshops, new ways to work with me, new ideas, all kinds of stuff. It's great. talkingtickets.substack.com. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be hanging out with Simon and Cath. So make sure you come check us out at the Booking Protect booth. Check them out, though, at bookingprotect.com. There is some really great new data out. I've talked about it, some of this before, which is that since on sales have started back regularly, since lockdowns have ended, people have been taking up refund protection at a rate that is just unheard of. You probably double the normal rate. It means that people are still feeling sort of antsy about their purchases. They want that little bit of extra security that refund protections provides you. So check them out at bookingprotect.com. So back to Simon. Simon's been on before. His website is strategysprints.com. He does a podcast called Strategy Sprints, and he has a book coming out called Strategy Sprints. I like talking to Simon because, he brings a new take on strategy and a new take on understanding, how to fast track your business. It's a little bit different with his 3 steps and how check-ins and everything than, you might get from me. And so it's always important for me to learn from somebody who is a really strong practitioner like Simon. So here's a new conversation with me and Simon Severino on the Business of Fun podcast. All right, I've got Simon Severino back on the Business of Fun podcast. Simon, how are you and the ninjas?
Hey, Dave. Hello, everybody. Ninjas are fine, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, the ninjas are Simon's sons, and I could hear them in the background, and they were like, definitely like, "Daddy, let's get this over with so we can fight." And I was like, "Well, that's a totally appropriate response to talking to me." So that was perfect. So 2022, right? We haven't had a chance to talk yet this year. Tell me a little bit about any trends or opportunities or challenges you've noticed so far. What does it look like from what you're dealing with, who you're talking to? Kind of give me a little bit of the lay of the land of what's happening in Simon's world.
Since we coach entrepreneurs, mainly B2B teams, what we see right now is it's impossible to plan anything. If you rely on your plans, you will get rug pulled, whatever the plan is, because the world has another plan. Mm-hmm. And, as a strategy advisor over the last 20 years, we would say, okay, let's make scenario A, B, C, and then let's prepare for 3 scenarios. But right now, you don't even know which kind of scenarios you're preparing for. So I would say if planning was fragile so far, now it's completely ridiculous. And if we want to survive and thrive over the next months and years, I think we need closed loops in terms of real-time planning and deciding in a completely different way. Deciding based on numbers, based on weak signals, much earlier, not so late. So most of our reporting systems are not helpful anymore. Most of our planning systems are not helpful anymore. And I can go into the nitty-gritty if you want.
Please do.
That's, I think, the main problem that I see right now. How the heck do I take long-term decisions, and how the heck do I do budgeting if next week everything is different?
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense, because anybody who listens knows at this point, but you might not, because I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. But I caught the COVID and during the Omicron thing, and I was totally fine, except for I had like a lot of fatigue and fuzziness. And so then when I started, I was been working on this project with a client for a couple months, and he caught COVID at the same time. So we were both kind of like cloudy and fuzzy. And so what happened was we said, let's kind of reset ourselves and let's look at this thing from like we were starting over, because we're both like completely like brain dead. And I was like, that's probably a good idea. And what it was, or what was interesting was happening was that, just like what you said, it's like, well, how do you plan for this world right now where all you have is weak signals? And even the weak signals have changed radically in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So like you brought up the topic, and I would like to go there with you and to understand exactly how do you deal with those weak signals, and how do you create this feedback loop for people?
So what we do, because many of our clients are going really through hard times, and so what we do is we ask ourselves 2 things, basically: integrity and then habits. Because when everything around you is not reliable, what can you really control? I think you can control only 5%. And, that's a very old wisdom that we have. Sophocles did know this, and the pre-Socratics did know this, and Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, knew this, but we forget. So let's remind ourselves that only 5% is in our control, and let's go to this 5%. I like to do integrity and then habits. Integrity is in the lowest point of confidence, or you have now COVID, or you have a completely broken supply chain. You are at rock bottom. Now ask yourself, and this is an amazing opportunity, because this is where you have most clarity about what your purpose is. So when I am at rock bottom, now I ask myself what I am here to do. What's the bigger mission? So I am stripped away of all my resources. What is here right now wanting to be? Now you are at the core of your purpose. That's your personal truth. And that is unshakable. Nobody can take that away. It's like, a dancing star inside of your chest. It's always there. Nobody can shake that. And so, for example, when I ask myself this question, what am I here really to do? Wherever I am, it comes very natural and very clear. I am here to open doors and turn on lights. So I know that in the core of myself, I'm an educator. And that's why then I have quite a bit of clarity about what I do. I educate. That's what I do. And then the rest, will align itself. But this is the really number one thing to do. Okay, let's forget everything. Let's forget revenues. Let's forget legacy. Let's forget products and offers. Let's forget employees. Just forget everything. What are you here to do? What's the one star that is always dancing and always wants, to sing your song? What's your song? Mm-hmm. Now you have integrity and alignment. Then you go, and from that zero budgeting, now you start budgeting again. All right, who am I here to serve? And what's the best way for me to serve them? And how can I show up today for them? That's it. And from there, you're just showing up again. So you start again connecting to them. Hi, I'm here. I'm weak. I'm fuzzy, but I'm here. How are you? What do you need? What's next? How can I help? Mm-hmm. And from there, automatically, the rest will happen in the right way, in an organic way. And now when we are now reset, now I come back with my 3 habits. Okay, daily habit, weekly habit, monthly habit. Because this is our operational system. This is the strategy sprints method. And that's what keeps you resilient now when you start going out again. And the whole heat will come back. Because it's stress. Come on. Running a business is stress. You will attract stress. So again, how do you keep those 5%? And for me, it's daily habit, weekly habit, monthly habit. It's the same thing that I do for myself. It's the same thing that we share with our clients when we coach them. Daily habit. How do I allocate my time tomorrow? And what do I learn from it? So I write down 6 o'clock I go running, 8 o'clock breakfast, then 3 hours deep work, lunch, playing with my kids, meetings, interviews, end of the day. And in the end of the day, that's just an example, but it's important that you intentionally design your day, whatever your day is, but do it with intention. And then this template that I use and that people can download has 2 reflective questions. So at the end of today, before I design the next day and close down my computer, it will ask me 2 things. First, Simon, what of all the things that you did should you delegate tomorrow to somebody else? Second, and the reason is it either does not give you energy or, it either takes energy or gives energy. It's either high leverage or low leverage. And then it's not in your zone of genius. Mm-hmm. The second question is, if I would live more intentionally and more freely, what would I do? This is when you reconnect to your bigger projects. Oh, I always wanted to write a book. Stuff that in the day-to-day you basically forget. And then I design my next day, the flow of tomorrow. I close my computer, I go playing with my boys, and that's it. So that's the day, the daily habit. Because whatever happens around me, this is in my control. Mm-hmm. What I do tomorrow at which time. Mm-hmm. The second is the weekly habit. I want to get my marketing numbers, sales numbers, and ops numbers every 7 days reported if I have a team. If I don't have a team, then I have to report all the 3 to myself, which is also an important exercise because you will realize, oh, maybe it's better if I hire people. And that's an important exercise. When you see that you are the head of marketing, head of sales, head of operations, what the hell? What is expected to me? It's too much, right? And that's an important thing to feel. And then the monthly habit. Are we moving the right direction at the right pace? What is competition doing? What else can the customer do, both in terms of with our competitors, but also within themselves. Maybe they can do just nothing or hire an intern to do it instead of having us doing it, or they can hire somebody full-time that does, for example, strategy execution instead of having a strategy coach from the outside. These are the three habits.
I think that's really great, and I think it gives people and knowing you, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's you have to do the hard work of thinking and figuring out what moves your business, what moves you forward daily, weekly, and monthly. It's not, don't take Dave's ideas. Because I think last time we talked on the podcast, I talked about some of the numbers that I set up and they look like, and you're talking about these. Decide for yourself what's going to be the most important, what's going to push you forward, what's going to create change for you. I think that is probably the most important thing. And one thing that people, they struggle with, I think is really what happens is because, and I'm pretty sure if we definitely talked about this together, but I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. It's like, there's so many people who are giving you advice, and a lot of the advice is worth about as much as you pay for it. And the big challenge is like, it has to be specific to your situation. It has to work for you, and not necessarily just because it worked for Simon or Dave or someone else does that mean it's going to work for you. So do the hard work of thinking about it through your lens. That's exactly, that would be my full stop.
Yes, because my goals are not your goals. Whoever is listening right now has different goals, a different purpose, a different flow of the day. If you have more kids or zero kids, that makes a huge difference in your daily flow. If you are very active in terms of exercise, your day will look different than if you read more than you move. So of course, but the principle. So every sprint is different, but the anatomy of the sprint is always the same: 3 habits, 3 strategies, 3 numbers. But every sprint is different, and it's the same thing. Every CEO is different, but every CEO needs to sleep well, to eat well, and to move enough. Mm-hmm. These are principles that are evergreen. Yep. But what does it mean for you eating well? Well, you have to find out, depending on your DNA and on your situation and on your intuition, what is good for you. Your body will tell you. Mm-hmm. But the principles to eat clean and to eat well, they are pretty applicable. That's the same, right? That's the same in business. And when I look for coaches and people say, oh, I have this tactic, and in 6 weeks you use my tactic, and I go, well, then I don't need it. Because I have to find out my journey. And if you can help me clarify my journey, you can help me. But if you just say, do what I do, the probability that I need this is really low.
Yeah. Yes. The way I approach it is, I tell people I don't know anything, but I know how to ask questions, and together we can find the answer. And that's the way I approach it. And most people think I'm lying, but I was like going, no, there's nothing. Everybody wants to scale or systemize everything. And I go, but the thing is like, that's limited in its ability to be effective for you. And so your challenge is to be able to step back and say, sure, I want to create a system, but it has to be a system that works just for me, not for everybody. Because if it works for everybody, it's just by nature, it's going towards that average. And averages are not the greatest way to measure anything, because they really allow you very little context. At least that's what I've found.
Absolutely. Where are they right now? Where do they want to be? And a good coach is, first of all, a good listener, and then he has done it 100 times, and then he can share how he get out of that, and he can share the process of getting out of that.
Right. I actually, and I'd be curious to ask you about this. Doing the podcast, I think, has made me a better coach, because it has made me a better listener, and it has made me more effective at asking questions. Because if you can't listen, you can't ask a very good question. And if you don't ask a very good question, you don't get a very good answer. So I'd be curious to ask you about that, because you brought up the idea of a good coach is a good listener.
Yeah, that's why I run 2 podcasts. Both are daily. And this is really my hope, that I become a better listener, that I learn better questions, and also that I learn a ton from other people. So I always am a teacher and a student of life at the same time. So I have teachers every day. You heard my ninjas out there. They are my teachers in how to be present, in how to enjoy the moment, in how to sing and dance. And then every guest on my show every day is a teacher in whatever their superpower is. I'm learning a ton. And then I also share what I am learning this week in my daily YouTube channel. But that's something like, hey, I've been trying this. I had to solve this. This is what I did. This is what works. And I also share what didn't work. I tried this. It didn't work at all.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think, at least for me, that's where you really learn. It's like, well, what did I screw up and why?
Yeah.
If I've done something well, then I'll learn a lot. I'm going to be honest with you, because I'm just like going, of course I did. Of course that worked. I mean, I'm super smart. But when I screw up, that's when I really learn. I'm guessing that's everybody, though. Nobody wants to admit it. So you said you do 2 podcasts a day. Strategy Sprints is one. And if I'm not mistaken, the other one is based on crypto. Is that right?
Yes. So the Strategy Sprints is our daily exploration with the best people in the field on how to run companies in this context, in these funky times. And Simon Severino is about, all right, now we are running companies. We have now wealth accumulated. How do we keep our wealth? Based investment systems. So it's stock and crypto mainly right now. And but of course, real estate is also part of a good portfolio. But it's, how do we keep our money and make sure that it stays at least the same? Because the official inflation numbers are 7%, the real one are 15%. So if you do nothing, if you have it on your bank account, it's melting in your hands right now. So what's a better idea? And we are exploring the better ideas.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because we were mentioning too, you said, I do stuff that's focused more on crypto. We talked about crypto a little bit. We were making fun of my crypto portfolio, which is still largely the same, and that's cool because I was telling you before we started recording is I come at all of these things like I try to be somewhere in the middle. And it's not so much because I don't care, I'm trying to be either a hater or a lover of any one thing. It's like, I need balance, right? It's like Ra's al Ghul in Batman. He goes like, the world is about balance, and I try to maintain balance. So one of the things that lit up my inbox, I think you said it lit up yours, was like I put a little thing about NFTs and crypto in the newsletter the other day, and it went nuts. How should people think about crypto and NFTs right now? Because that's a big topic of conversation for I think people in every industry, because I think there's actually, I'm going to revise my opinion on this. And I'm going to say there's 2 people that I trust their opinions about crypto and NFT now, because you are balanced and you are like, not like, oh my God, if you're not in on this thing, and like, if you don't throw every dollar you have in there, you're crazy. And there's one other person who's also been on the podcast who is she has actual use cases and things that like actually add value. But other than that, most people are like, it's hair on fire or run for the hills from it. So how are you coaching people and teaching people to approach both of these things now? Or are you teaching them are they sort of similar in the way you talk about it?
It's very similar to the revenue systems are also the investment systems that I share. The investment system that I share is really a system that you create for yourself, and it fits your current situation, and you get better by practice. You will not get rich in the first year. But I shared last year, for example, how to 10x a portfolio, and we did it live together, and it was a community effort. Everybody was, chipping in and asking questions and finding some gems, and we would analyze together. So the first problem is, how do you construct a full portfolio? What is a portfolio? And so, for example, you have to decide based on your age and your risk appetite, which buckets you want overall. For example, I have 20% real estate, 35% stocks, 35% crypto. That's what works well for me. And then 10%, I call them alternatives, which is currently just mainly cash. because I want to deploy it in a bear market. I want to buy when everything is low. When everybody's selling, I want to buy. So the first question, define those buckets. How much percentage do you want in which kind of thing? Do you want gold 5% or silver 2%? Then go for it. I don't. But you have to decide, right? Is it more a defensive play or an offensive play? Do you need to build wealth? Then have just a few buckets and full conviction. 3 stocks, 3 cryptos, full in. Do you need to defend wealth, or you want to do it for your kids? Then differentiate more and have a defensive part also. That's my real estate part, is my defensive part. So, but the other ones are aggressive. There are the few stocks and few cryptos and all in, and I want them to 10x as often as possible. 3 times a year. Last year was easy. This year, I'm happy if we can we can double it once, and then that's my expectation to this year, because it's a choppy year. Then the second thing that we teach and we explore together also is, how do you do, for God's sake, how do you do a fundamental analysis of an asset that has no earning reports? Because in the stock market, you can watch the earning reports and then okay, this is the compound rate, this is the growth, this is the debit rate, this is what the expectation, and then you can do your fundamental analysis. In crypto, this whole thing was missing, so I started building it. That's how I operate. If I miss something, I build it. And I trust nobody. I don't trust any financial advisor on the planet. I have fired all the financial advisors I ever had in my life and in my companies. I'm doing it now myself, and I'm realizing that it's much less complex than everybody thinks. And it's only, in Italy we would say it's a mafia. They think because they're certified that they have any more authority. Their results are ridiculous. They think 6% is a great growth over a year. I did my own thing. I had 121%, and I said, okay, you are all fired. So now I'm doing my thing myself, and I'm learning all the time, and that's what I'm sharing there. And some in the audience have more experience in single parts, and they chip in and they say, hey, Simon, but look at commodities. I have no idea of commodities, for example, but we are right now looking into copper because the community is saying that. All right, let's look into copper. Because you want to have also defensive plays now in the bear market, right? So, and we have segment rotations. But I personally, I'm very strong in 3 crypto names, 3 stocks, and I go with that. But only after I did a ton of fundamental analysis. So that's one thing that we did together. And the second part is then technical analysis. So if you decide, all right, I am fully confident, for example, my 3 big stocks are Tesla, Amazon, Google. I am fully confident whatever happens, they are going to be more worth every quarter because of network effects and because I did my 10 steps fundamental analysis. And part of that is the network effects. If I see multiple network effects that I calculate with Metcalfe's formula, then I know you cannot stop this thing. And if it's unstoppable, well, it will appreciate in value. So with these 3 things, full conviction and very clear, whenever they go down, I will buy more. That's it. And I just keep it. Then the other thing, and only if when they double, I get out half of my principal. So I get my initial money off the table. For example, Tesla. Yeah, Tesla, I bought at 300. When it got to 600 last year, I took half of the table. I kept half in. That half doubled to 1,200. Now in November, I took again 25% off. When it will go to 2,400, I will take 12.5% off. That's basically how I keep balance, as you say, because we have emotions. I have emotions for Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
But I keep the balance because the number tells me when to sell and not my feeling. Because my feeling would go, hey, this continues to grow. But that's usually the wrong feeling. You don't want to decide based on feelings. You want to decide based on a system.
100%. Yes. And then it's like always like every time that initial, I double, I pull it out. Right. And I go put it I play with it in a new land and I let the other stuff ride. I completely do that. And that's why I know, like with the crypto crash right now, I could care less. Right. Because that original money is back in, like, it's totally fine. So then everything else is just a bonus. It's all a bonus.
Yeah.
The rich man sold to his son.
Exactly. So this week I've been buying Luna, I've been buying Solana, and I've been buying Bitcoin. But I would not say that this is what everybody should do. It just fits my system, my allocation, and my exit strategy and entry strategy, right? So you have to define all of these things for yourself. And in the channel, I show how you can define those things. And then you have to improve them. We call that rebalancing. So you have to improve them either monthly or weekly, depending on how aggressive, how defensive you want to play it. Some in our community, they just go ETFs and Bitcoin, and they just think in 10 years. And other ones, they want to rebalance quarterly. I rebalance every Sunday. So somewhere you have to decide how much time you want to spend with it, and that makes also the structure of your portfolio.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So let me ask you this then, because you have a community around both of these businesses, right? What are some of the steps that go into building a community like this and expanding that community? Like where do you add, and anybody who does any of the stuff that we're doing, at some point you hooked onto a little bit of a formula, and how successful it is or not is, up to debate. I'm always like, well, what can I do to build more? Like, how can I continue to add value? And again, people who are listening to this, no matter what business they're touching, it's about kind of building an audience, growing an audience, maintaining an audience. What are some of the keys to success for you?
It's funny because I'm building a completely new one right now, so we could do it on that example. You can see it growing every week right now. If you watch my second channel, Simon Severino, it's just started and it's growing every week. The big community that I've been building has thousands of entrepreneurs, and that was just our clients. And then after they sprint with us and they have doubled revenue, we say, hey, you can stay around for the community. Do you want to enter the mastermind? And then, we stick around and grow together, because the journey doesn't end after you double your revenue. There is stuff coming to you all the time, and it's better to discuss it with others. So that's a community that I've built over 18 years. But if you look at Simon Severino, the YouTube channel, it's just started. And so what I do when I start from scratch, I just show up every day. That's my first rule. And what do I do when I show up every day? So every day I go live on YouTube. And what do I do there? Honest sharing of what I don't know, what I'm exploring, and what I find on those exploration. It goes back to, when you're rock bottom, what is it that you're here to do? What I am here to do is opening doors and turning on lights. So that's what I do. I hear what most people, and I ask them. That's why I go live, because I want to hear their questions. And they say, oh, Simon, how Bitcoin is going down? How can I be confident that it will ever go up? And so now this is my mission. This is what I need to solve in the next 5 minutes. Taking this question seriously, coming with tangible, measurable answers, and also with some examples. And that's what I do. In this case, I would show the hash rate, and I would show how Amazon was working for the first 12 years, and when Amazon was at 100 and everybody thought it's dead, and how Amazon was correcting by 90% and 80% and 70%, depending on the market cap. And then I show them the market cap of Amazon now and the volatility there. For example, this is how I answered that question. And whatever they ask me becomes the topic of the next video, of the next newsletter. So I just take it from there in onion rings.
No, that makes really great sense. And so that sort of that mindset, that way of approaching things, that's how you help people go from problem solving. Because like the initial thing is like going, oh my God, Bitcoin is falling apart, towards innovation, which is like getting better and improving. It was because yes, there's always going to be some kind of pothole or hiccup in the road. And the thing is more likely than not, as much the balance, I'll use balance today, is there will be a balance, and it will come back. And like your job is to triage the problem as fast as possible, but to focus on growth and how do you get better? Because, just getting back to like the baseline is generally, at least in the way I've seen it, means that you're sort of declining. And like, you have to always kind of like focus and push towards innovation because nothing stays like in perfect balance, right? Or maybe I'm wrong, but that sounds to me like a little bit like what you're talking about.
You are spot on. One of my teachers was Clayton Christensen, and he showed me the mathematical formula that shows you how your revenue decreases if you don't innovate. He would show us the formula and let us calculate. And because most people, when they close their eyes, they think, okay, I'm just doing nothing, then I have the same revenue, right? Yeah. It's not the case. It really decreases heavily. And so, yes, that's one of the...
Think about inflation, right? Like if you made $100 today, it's worth 15%, you said, less than it was this time last year.
The official number is 7.1%, but it's with the formula of 1980. 1981, the government formula was changed because people were a bit too alarmed. And so the job of the government is to keep people calm and manageable. Yeah. So they deducted food, shelter, and energy. Now, I calculate the same thing with the government formula of 1980. And I say, okay, but because try to live without food, energy, and shelter for a moment.
Yes, exactly.
So I put them back in, then you have 15%. So, and this is something, for example, most people do not know how to calculate the CPI number or, how to double check if the numbers that they're getting served are real. Yeah. And so the educator
they call it like the grocery
says,
bag or something in the States. Like,
yeah.
They only calculate based on like the grocery thing. And that's like, like you said, it's completely like doesn't reflect the real world.
It's not your real purchasing power that they are telling you. And so the educator in me says, I cannot be quiet when I see this. I have to show everybody what the formula is and how they calculate their real inflation, because otherwise they cannot retire or they cannot pass over to their kids what they have been building. And so I have to tell the world. And this is where my next live would be. And I go live immediately on YouTube and say, people, let's double check the number we heard from the Fed today. Let's do this together.
No, that's awesome. So Simon, I know the ninjas are waiting. So where can people find you on the internet? Like where can they find these new YouTube channels? Where can they find all this stuff? I know where to find you. So
the new YouTube channel. The new YouTube channel is called Simon Severino. That's where we explore the world of investing. Then there is the YouTube channel where we explore the world of how to run a business. That's called Strategy Sprints. And if people want to find me, is at strategysprints.com.
Awesome. Well, Simon, thank you for coming back, man.
Thank you, Dave. This was super cool. Keep rolling, everybody.
Let me know what you thought about this second conversation with Simon Severino. Send me an email. It is my name, dave@davewakeman.com. Go to davewakeman.com. You can find all the stuff, my blog, the store, get newsletters, do the whole damn thing, right? Go to davewakeman.com. Make sure you check me out. I will be at the Ticketing Professionals Conference, and I will be in England from the 12th to the 20th of March. Get in late on the 12th, so let's count that as a no-go. Leave sort of midday on the 20th, so let's count that sort of like early coffee, but I got time. I'll be in London and Birmingham. If you have been considering it, check out the Ticketing Professionals Conference. The Ticketing Professionals Conference team has done a great job of bringing people back together this year. There's going to be 450, 500 people there. 2 really great keynote speakers. The team throws some fantastic parties so that you can network, you can connect, you can get back together with people. There's more value than you can take advantage of in 2.25 days. It's an amazing event. Andrew and Carol and the whole Peter, everybody involved, they do such a wonderful job. It's probably, it's definitely my favorite event in Europe, if not the world. So I would strongly encourage you to check it out. And if you're on the fence, send me a note. I'll push you over the fence. It's just an awesome, awesome event. So get your tickets at ticketingprofessionals.co.uk and check it out. Let me know you're going to be there. I'll be hanging out with the folks from Booking Protect, bookingprotect.com. It'll be me, Simon, probably Cath, Hayley, Vicky. I think there's a few more people. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Come check it out. Come check us out. Stop by and say hello. I'm going to see if I can bring my mobile podcasting studio, and we'll do some podcasts live from the show floor at the Ticketing Professionals Conference. It's at a new location this year. I'm excited to be able to have a chance to go. It's going to be great. Like I told you at the start, keep the people of Ukraine in your thoughts and prayers. If you're looking for a way to give back, to support them, rescue.org is where I've been pointing people towards. There's a number of good organizations that are helping the refugees that are being displaced due to the Russian invasion. Do your due diligence on anybody you would donate your money to. But whatever you can do to help these people, it's an incredible tragedy. And who knows how long this is going to take to end. But the Ukrainian people have shown just tremendous courage and strength throughout this. And I know from personal experience, they're incredible people. So to see them suffer in this way is truly heartbreaking. And hopefully, if this ends and they can move and they can start putting their country back together again. Like I've said since the start of the pandemic, if you need me, I'm here for you, right? Hit me up, davewakeman.com. Don't feel like you got to go through this stuff alone. I'm here for you, all right? And thank you so much for continuing to listen, to continue to support me. I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.